Give me your $100,000 inheritance, Mark. My sister needs a starter home. That was the sentence that shattered my marriage. No hesitation, no empathy, just a demand that hit me like a punch in the chest. I stared at my wife Emma, trying to process if I'd heard her right. She crossed her arms, her tone sharper than ever. You got that money after your father passed. You're not using it anyway. My sister's been struggling for years. She deserves a break. I could feel my jaw clenching. My dad worked his whole life for that money. He wanted me to invest it in something meaningful, not give it away. She rolled her eyes. Meaningful? You mean your stupid, maybe someday, business idea? Be real, Mark. My family actually needs this. You can always make more money, but my family needs help now. That moment something inside me cracked. The woman I'd married, the woman who once said we'd build a future together, was now demanding I erase the last gift my father ever gave me for her sister. Before that night, I would have told anyone that Emma was the love of my life. We met 6 years ago at a small-town coffee shop where I was reading, and she spilled her drink all over my laptop. I remember laughing it off, thinking it was the universe introducing me to my person. She was funny, spontaneous, and had this spark that made every dull day feel alive. When we got married, I thought we were equals, both working towards something better. I worked as a mechanic, saving for my dream of opening a small auto shop. Emma worked in HR and often said she admired how grounded I was. But things changed after my dad passed away. I inherited $100,000, his life savings, meant to give me the future he never had. At first, Emma seemed supportive. She even cried with me at the funeral. But slowly, her tone began to shift. Every dinner conversation turned into a lecture about how we needed a bigger house or how her family could use a little help. Her sister Molly was a constant topic. Molly's credit is bad, Mark. She can't get a mortgage. Maybe you could co-sign, she'd say casually. Then it turned into, maybe we could lend her something just until she's on her feet. And eventually it became, give her the money, she deserves it more than anyone. I started feeling like I wasn't part of my own marriage anymore, like I was just a bank account they were negotiating over. The worst part, Emma's family didn't even try to hide it. At a barbecue one weekend, Molly laughed and said, when you two get that inheritance sorted out, don't forget your favorite sister-in-law. Everyone laughed except me. One night I finally asked Emma straight up, why are you so obsessed with giving Molly money? She's 29, she's never kept a job longer than 6 months and she already lives rent-free with your mom. Emma slammed her fork down. You wouldn't understand, you didn't grow up struggling like we did. Molly deserves a chance at life. If you loved me, you'd help my family. If I loved you, I repeated, my voice breaking. So my love is worth $100,000 now. Her silence said everything. I started sleeping on the couch. We barely spoke except to argue. And then, she did something that made everything worse. I got a call from my bank one afternoon. A transfer request had been attempted. Someone tried to move $40,000 out of my account into another name. When I checked, the name was Molly Henderson, her sister. My hands started shaking. I confronted Emma that night. Why the hell did you try to take money out of my account? I yelled. She didn't even flinch. I didn't try, Mark, I did what I had to do. You're too stubborn to help, so I helped for you. My world stopped. You forged my signature, I whispered, barely breathing. She sighed, it's still our marriage account. What's yours is mine, remember, it's not stealing if it's for family. I couldn't believe the person standing in front of me. I told her I was freezing the account and calling a lawyer. That's when she started crying, not because she was sorry, but because she realized her plan failed. You're choosing money over me, she sobbed. I looked at her for a long moment and said, no, Emma, I'm choosing self-respect over manipulation. But that wasn't the end. Because what she did next made everything explode. I woke up the next morning to an empty house. Emma was gone, her closet was half empty and the car keys were missing. At first I thought she needed space, until I got a text. I'm staying with Mom for a while. Don't contact me unless you're ready to apologize for treating my family like trash. Apologize. She had just tried to steal $40,000 and somehow I was the villain. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my lawyer, a friend of my late father. He told me to come in immediately. When I got there, I showed him the transaction attempt and the forged authorization form. He took one look and said, "Mark, this is fraud, plain and simple, but because she's your wife, it's murky. You'll have to act carefully." I nodded, heart pounding. All I could think about was how my father used to warn me, "Trust is a gift, son. Once it's broken, it never fits the same again." 3 days passed, then one night Emma came back like nothing happened. She walked in holding grocery bags and said, "We need to talk." I stayed silent. She started talking about how stressful things had been, how family pressures make people do stupid things. Then she said, "I talked to Molly. She said if you just gave her $60,000, she could put a down payment on a house and we'd never hear from her again." I laughed an ugly, bitter laugh. "You mean after you tried to forge my signature and drain my account, you're still asking for more?" She glared at me, her voice rising. "Don't make me look like a villain, Mark. I was just trying to help. You're so obsessed with your dead dad's money that you can't see how selfish you've become." That's when I realized she wasn't just greedy, she was gone. Emotionally, mentally, she wasn't the same person I married. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I played along. I said, "You're right, maybe I overreacted. If Molly really needs help, we should do it properly. Let's meet at the bank together. I'll transfer it with you there." Her face lit up instantly. "See, I knew you'd come around." I smiled, but inside I was done pretending. That night while she slept, I went through her phone. I didn't want to, but something in me needed the truth. What I found made my stomach drop. There were dozens of texts between Emma and Molly, screenshots of my account balance, messages like, "Once he gives it, we'll sell fast and split the rest. Don't worry, he's soft, just cry if he resists. By next year, we'll be living in Miami." It wasn't about helping family. They were planning to rob me and disappear. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. We went to the bank as planned. My lawyer was waiting in the next room, pretending to be another client. When we got to the desk, the banker asked, "And how much are we transferring?" I said calmly, "Actually, before we proceed, I just want to confirm something. Emma, can you tell the banker why we're transferring $60,000 to your sister's account?" She froze. I turned to the banker. "Because yesterday she tried to forge my signature to move $40,000 without my consent. I have the proof right here." The banker's eyes widened. Emma turned pale. "Mark, stop, you're embarrassing me." I handed over the printed screenshots of her messages and the transaction attempt. Then my lawyer walked in. He said, "Mrs. Carter, we need to have a serious conversation about fraud." She started crying, begging me to stop. I didn't mean it, it was Molly's idea. The banker quietly left the room as my lawyer called security. Emma tried to grab my arm, whispering, "Please don't do this, think about our marriage." I looked at her with a calm I didn't even recognize in myself and said, "Our marriage ended when you saw me as an ATM instead of a husband." She collapsed in tears as I walked out. A few days later, I found out Emma had gone back to her mom's house. She tried to make herself the victim, telling everyone that I humiliated her in public and chose money over love. But the truth has a funny way of getting out. Her sister Molly had posted a picture online celebrating new beginnings in front of a used car she bought with unexpected funds. When mutual friends asked how she afforded it, she slipped up and said, "Oh, my sister almost got us a big check, but her husband freaked out." That post went viral in our small town's Facebook group. People began putting the pieces together. Emma's own coworkers started gossiping about how she married for money. Her reputation was done. Meanwhile, I focused on my father's dream. I used a portion of that inheritance to finally open Carter's Auto Garage, the small business we'd talked about for years. The day I hung the sign up, I swear I could almost hear my dad's voice saying, "That's my boy." Emma tried reaching out weeks later, emails, messages, even a handwritten letter. In one of them she wrote, "We can fix this, please, let's start over. I made mistakes, but I did it out of love." I didn't reply. I knew if I even cracked the door open, she'd try to pull me back into her web. But life has its own sense of irony. Because one day, while I was working on a customer's car, Molly walked into my shop. She looked miserable, thinner, tired, defeated. "Mark," she said quietly, "I came to say sorry, Emma's not doing well." I just stared at her. "Not doing well," I repeated. "She lost her job, no one in town wants to hire her after what happened. Mom's house is in foreclosure, she said you ruined her life." I took a deep breath and said, "No, Molly, she ruined her own life, I just stopped her from ruining mine." Molly nodded slowly, tears filling her eyes. "I know, and I'm sorry too." That night I sat alone in the shop, lights off, just thinking. For years I believed that love meant sacrifice, that you prove love by giving, even when it hurts. But that's not love, that's manipulation disguised as devotion. A few months passed. Life got quiet and peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in years. My shop was running smoothly, and for the first time I actually felt proud of myself. Then one evening I got a call. It was Emma. I almost didn't pick up, but something in me needed closure. Her voice was broken. "Mark, I just wanted to say I'm sorry, you were right about everything." Molly took off with what little money I had left. "I have nothing now." I stayed silent. She continued. "I thought money would fix everything, but I lost the only person who ever truly cared about me." I took a deep breath and said quietly, "Emma, I hope you find peace, but I can't be your safety net anymore. Take this as your chance to rebuild the honest way." She started crying again, but I hung up gently. And just like that, I finally felt free. That night I locked up the shop, stepped outside and looked up at the sky. For the first time since my father's funeral, I whispered, "Dad, I did it, I didn't let your hard work go to waste." I realized something important that day: love without respect becomes control, and forgiveness without boundaries becomes permission. If someone truly loves you, they won't ask you to destroy what's sacred to you just to prove it. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom.